Good evening. My name is Sumit Kimori. I am the clinical physiotherapist at Total Health. Thank you for joining us today on this topic, postural ergonomics. So without any further ado, we'll start with the presentation. Okay. So, session objectives. First, we work on what we're going to cover in this presentation. We're going to talk about ergonomics. We're going to talk about the symptoms, which can happen because of the bad ergonomics and bad posture. We're going to identify the risk factors which are involved in the postural ergonomics. And then we can help you out with the setting up your workstation to minimize your stress and strain. And then last, we'll help you to perform tasks safely and avoid injuries and illness. Now, what is ergonomics? Ergo means work, normals mean law. So it's basically the scientific study of people at work. Now, the goals of ergonomics, the whole idea behind is to reduce the stress so that the injuries are eliminated and to avoid disorders such as overuse of muscles, bad posture, and repetitive tasks. Now, why this is important? This is important to create a self-awareness and education between common people for their personal well-being, and this can help in result in chronic long-term pain for them, because if they don't take care of their posture and day-to-day work lifestyle, this can relate to repetitive strain injuries for them. Now, how many of you have seen yourself in this position before, with a bad posture, sitting in a chair with the wrong position and not taking care of your ergonomics in terms of your position of your desktop, your keypad, your mouse, and then it relates to all this pain. Now, poor sitting posture, what can cause to that? Now, there can be paresthesia, that is like numbness and tingling in fingers. There can be aching wrists, which can lead to some conditions like carpal tunnel syndrome. There can be upper and lower back as well. A lot of eye strain, which can cause due to redness, dryness, temporary blurry vision, soreness, and headaches as well. General aches in the neck, shoulder, arms, back, thigh, and whole body as compared, because your body will go into tightness and that can lead to soreness. There can be a persistent pain and discomfort in your muscles, tendons, and soft tissues. Decreased blood flow to your heart. That's because you're sitting long hours and there is no physical activity involved into it, which can invite to osteoporosis, which is weakening of the bones. This can lead to other conditions like bursitis and tendinitis, especially in the joints like shoulders and wrist as well. Now, as you can see in the picture, the position and the posture here shown is absolutely wrong for a person. As you can see, if we start from the top, the head is tilted downwards, which is not a neutral position for the neck. The shoulders are rounded. The screen is not in a correct position because the head is tilting downwards to look at the screen. It's not at the eye level. Chin is bending forward because of your bending of the neck. Your lumbar support is not there. Elbows and shoulders are not relaxed. It's not in a neutral position at all. Your thighs are not properly supported. Feet are not firmly planted on the ground. Knees are not 90-degree bent. And as you can see, the insufficient support to your spine and thighs can lead to all these problems. Now, what are the effective ergonomics at workplace? First thing and the main important thing is your computer workstation. Looking at it, if we talk about computer workstation, we have to look into your head and shoulder position. Now, when you're working in your front of your desktop, your head has to be vertical and facing forward rather than looking down or up. So the screen has to be at the eye level. Make sure your head is not tilted downwards, because if it's tilted downwards, you have to work for long hours. That can lead to stress in your neck and your shoulder muscles. Minimize your head rotation. Make sure your head is straight and the screen is straight forward instead of at the sides or at the corner. Shoulders have to be relaxed. In the sense, the shoulders should not be mounted up or down. In this case, your keypad position is very important, because if your keypad is up or down, your shoulders won't be relaxed, and this will lead to a pain in your shoulder, even your knees, joint, and ankle as well. The arms has to be tucked close to the body. That makes sure that your ankle, your elbow, and your shoulders are relaxed position. There should be no extended reaching, in the sense the keypad should not be too far or too close to your body. It has to be at optimum level. The screen should also be at an optimum level. Regarding elbows and wrist, as I said before, elbows has to be relaxed and close to the body, which will maintain them in a neutral position. It shouldn't be extended or forward or backward. Wrist has to be in straight line. Again, it has to be in neutral position. Make sure your keypad is not too high or down, where your wrist is going either in too much of extension or flexion. Hands not flexed up or down or bent inward or outward. Now, going towards the legs and feet, as I said, knees have to be 90-degree bend when you're sitting on the chair. As you can see from the picture, it has to be firmly supported. Thighs have to be firmly supported, and chair has to be at comfortable height so that it's not too high or too low in respect to your screen level. Obstruction should not be there between your keypad or your mouse or screen. Make sure feet are flat and on the floor and on the footrest. Now the chair, it's a very subjective one. The adjustment according to it, you have to make sure that you're comfortable with it. Make sure that it's a proper support for your lumbar. You're not hunching forward when you're sitting on the chair. It has to be a proper length, and it should be adjustable with the height and the tilt, because some people tend to sit more straight and some people tend to sit a little more on the support. So make sure it is according to your comfort, and it should be maintaining the proper posture and ergonomics for you. Now, chair adjustment and back and arms. Now, as I said, when you're sitting in front of the desktop, make sure your shoulders are relaxed and the elbow is at 90-degree bend. If it is too high, your keypad is too high or too low, your shoulders are getting strained all the time, and it leads to a condition called as bursitis or tendinitis in the shoulder. It can cause problems like tennis elbow in your elbow, and the risk can go into a carpal tunnel syndrome kind of conditions as well. Armrests, broad and cushioned to be supported for the shoulders, elbows and wrist, and armrest independently adjustable in height and side to side as well. Regarding the computer monitor, it should be directly in front of you. As I told you before, it has to be at arm's length away. It shouldn't be too far or too close to you, because if it is too far, your head will be going forward, which will keep straining your neck as well. It has to be at proper height. Make sure it's not down or up. It should be at your eye level, and the document should be placed close to the monitor. Now, the keyboard, as I told you, it should be at a position where your elbows and wrist has to be in neutral position all the time. The wrist should always remain straight like that. It shouldn't go into extension or flexion, because it can lead to condition, as I told you before, as carpal tunnel syndrome and aches also in the joint. Now, with the elbow, make sure the elbows are comfortably relaxed. It should be at 90-degree. And it should be maintained in a relaxed position all the time. Hands should not be angled up or down or turned in or out. Now, using a mouse. Now, mouse is a position where people tend to move it with the wrist movement. Now, that should be avoided. Make sure you do the mouse movement with your arm and the elbow rather than moving your wrist, because every time you move your wrist, it puts strain on your wrist joint. So make sure when you use the mouse, you're using your shoulder and the elbow, compared to what people tend to usually use your elbow, wrist and all. So make sure you use your elbow and shoulder movement rather than your wrist movement. And if it is too strenuous and all, you can change your position of the mouse. You can use your other hand as well. Now, using a laptop. Occasional user where they don't have to work for long hours in front of the neck, they used to sacrifice on their neck posture rather than their wrist posture. They sit back in a comfortable chair and adjust their laptop much better that way. Now, full-time user usually position screen like workstation monitor, use separate keyboard and mouse. As I told you, you can use Bluetooth keypad and mouse as well if it's not according to the position of your screen and all. So make sure first you set up your position, make sure your shoulders and elbows are relaxed, and then based on that you put the position for your mouse, keypad and your screen. Now, break time. This is a very most important thing which people tend to forget very often. they have to have a breaks in between. Make sure you don't work continuously for long hours together. If you work continuously, the muscle will tend to go into tightness, stiffness, and that can lead to all kind of aches and pain and bursitis, tendinitis, all sort of problems. So every time, make sure every half an hour or maximum 45 minutes, you take a break just for 5 minutes, just to relax. Make sure you move around. Give a break to your eyes as well, because constantly looking at the screen will cause dryness and itchiness in your eyes. So make sure you take breaks in between, move around a little bit, do some exercises, and then come back and sit and start with your work again. So break time is a very, very important thing. Now, if we come back to the exercises, what you need to do during your break time, it's a simple exercises which you can perform during your working hours as well. So once you work for 30-45 minutes, take a break for 5 minutes, use your hands, wrists, shoulders. It's just that simple stretching exercises for your fingers, for your wrist, stretching them backwards, upwards, downwards, shoulders shrugging, making them back rotation, forward rotations, shrugging your shoulders or stretching them backwards as well. And make sure you stretch your neck as well. So as I was telling you, the neck exercises, simple nodding of the head, stretching it to the sides, rotations to the other sides, tilting your head so that you stretch those muscles. And the back and arms as well, as I told you, stretching your shoulders, making go backwards and all, because what happens is when you're working continuously, you tend to go into that hunch position, and that leads to tightness in these pectorals muscle. So make sure you stretch them and take breaks in between. Now another most important thing is, if you take care of this, then I think the 50 to 70% of the problem is solved, because everything starts with the posture. If your posture is wrong, the body is gonna get strained, the muscle is gonna get strained. It's over and over repetitive strain to your body will lead to all these problems. But if your posture is right, everything's gonna be better, because it doesn't allow the strain to come back or any injuries to happen to your muscles or your body. So as I told you from starting onwards, make sure your head is straight, you're looking straight, your screen is at your eye level. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed, it's not in a hunch position. Make sure it's broad, and elbows has to be relaxed in the sense 90-degree. Wrist has to be in neutral position. Make sure it's not too hyperextended or not too flexed. Then with the back has to be properly supported with a good chair. Proper lumbar support has to be there. Good back support chair should be there. Now with the thigh, it should be firmly supported on the chair with the knees at 90-degree, and the feet should be firmly planted on the floor. So all these are important things. Make sure you take care of that. And I understand it can't be maintained for hours together, but once you have that awareness and you have that education that this is the correct posture, you can correct yourself every time when you go wrong. So this is very important for you. Now, I was telling you about the exercises. Now these are in terms of muscle, this is the muscle which is called as trapezius, which gets strained when you work continuously in front of the desktop. So if you keep looking at the screen like that, trapezius is one muscle which gets strained a lot, and that leads to into tightness and trigger points. So make sure you stretch them every half an hour, 45 minutes. So stretch them to the side. So as you can see in the figure, the trapezius stretch is something where you have to hold your head in one side and then pull it to the other side. So it stretches that side. Now that is trapezius stretch. Now another muscle is levator scapulae. Now that stretch, what you can do is, you turn to other side and then try to bend it towards your armpit. So as you can see in the picture, try to do those stretches every half an hour, 45 minutes. Another most important thing with the neck is, as I told you, when you're working, you tend to go forward like that. So it's as simple as that. You have to do chin tuck. Chin tuck is something which pushes your neck backwards so that your neck gets aligned in a straight position. Because every time you're going like that, your chin is going forward and the muscle is getting strained. So make sure you're doing chin tucks in between, which is simple, just pushing your chin backwards like that. Now, as I was telling you, when you're sitting and working for long hours, you tend to go into a hunch position, which leads to a tightness in your pectoralis muscles. And as you can see, these are the stretches where you can keep your arms on the sides and just pull it backwards so that you stretches them. This is called scapular pectoral stretch or shoulder retracting exercises. You can do shrugs as well, where your shoulders are going backwards and forwards because of sitting in one position. The joint tends to go into that stiffness and tightness. So it's just the basic simple movements and simple stretches which will help you in the long run, because continuously sitting in that wrong position will over a period of time lead to stiffness, tightness and all other problems. So simple stretches for the shoulders and your pecs. Now for the back, again simple, just as I told you, every 30 minutes or 45 minutes just get up, walk around a bit, go backward stretches, forward stretches for your lumbar extension. As you are doing for your neck, you have to do it for your lower back as well, which is the lumbar region, because when you sit in one position, the lumbar area is the most important area, because that gets loaded most of the time. The whole body weight goes into the lumbar region, so the muscles there will be very tensed and all. So if you don't stretch them, it will lead to back pain and all kind of disc problems can crop up in. So make sure you stretch your lower back as well. Now, as I told you, the points to remember finally, it's like when you're working in your workplace, make sure you sit in a proper position. Posture is the most important thing. If you don't take care of your posture, it can keep coming back to you. Every time you go into a wrong position, either your shoulder or your neck or your lower back or your knee or your ankle, it can get hurt. So make sure the posture is the most important thing you take care of. Now secondly, as I told you, make sure you take breaks in between. Don't continuously work in one position. Take breaks every 30 minutes, 45 minutes. If you're sitting for a long time, take a break. Do work in your standing position, your standing desk as well, but make sure even in standing your position is better and the posture is correct. Now listen to your body, that's the most important thing, because if you're sitting or standing for a long time and starts paining, take a break. Don't push yourself so that the pain becomes more severe after a long day's work. Now these stretches, exercises, these are important, but as I told you, the most important thing is the posture. If you take care of your posture, all these problems will never come in. But if you go into a wrong position, wrong postural ergonomics, every time the muscles, the ligaments and the joints are getting strained again and again. So make sure you take care of that. Thank you. If you have any doubt or any queries, please contact us and I'll be happy to help you out with that. Thank you.